Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Paige Ryans, and today we are talking about the 24th Annual Garden State Film Festival. The festival will return from March 26th through March 29th with over 200 films from various countries, screening at 9 different venues all throughout Asbury Park and Cranford, New Jersey. Tickets are available at gsff.org/tickets, and there will also be tickets available at the door. And now, to meet today's filmmakers, I am here with the creators of Blue. We have with us we have with us Danny Castro, and also joined with us we have none other than I'm sorry, I'm forgetting.
Dana Lynn North. I'll help you. Dana Lynn
There we
North.
go.
Writer,
That's
director.
why I was forgetting. So you could have that grand intro, right?
Happy to.
Happy to. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for being here, and thank you for joining us. We're very excited to talk about your short film, and congratulations on your acceptance. I know I just gave you brief introductions, but if you wanted to kind of go around and introduce your role with the film, and then we'll talk, just dive into the film, what the film's about.
Sure. Yes. I'll kick us off. I am Dana. I'm Dana Lynn North. I am the writer and director of Blue. Yeah, that is me. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Danny Castro. I'm the producer of Blue, and yeah, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy that I've gotten to work and with Dana and gotten to know her, and yeah, I'm a huge fan of Dana's. For people that know, she worked on Insecure and so many other things, and so yeah, I'm just always happy to be anywhere in her presence.
Thank you for that. I know. Thanks for doing a better intro of me than I did of myself, Danny. Yeah, it's true that I'll just say after years of writing and producing in television, it does feel really good, and working on shows like exec producing on shows like Insecure and Best Men Final Chapters and all that in TV. It's really fun to be writing and directing in film again and be back with my first love. And so this was a really a heartfelt project, which I hope came through, and it was really great. Like, I feel like it wouldn't necessarily have come to life if it weren't for Danny really encouraging me to take something that was a story where I was kind of pouring out some grief onto the page, and he read it and really encouraged me that we could shoot it in a manageable, doable way. And I'm glad he did. And that's part of why Blue came into being.
Awesome. Very nice. Very nice. Well, thank you for the introductions. And also congrats on your, discography. A great collection. I've personally, watched a few of the films, not films, but Insecure and Best Man. So thank you for your contributions to that. Truly, it's very appreciated in today's media. And Danny, thank you for just your co-production on films like this one, Blue. It's truly amazing. And yeah, you're welcome. So enough about me. I will just, if you wanted to, Dana, kick us off and tell us a little bit about Blue.
Sure. So I like to say that Blue is a story of finding love, losing your love, and finding yourself in the process. That's kind of the way I describe it. Like, it's a dramedy. It's a romantic dramedy about the arc of love and how it honestly begins and ends with love of self, even though I think it can be easy to forget that along the way. And so that's how I think of Blue. It's a story of a young woman who is having this reunion with with a long lost love. And you know how we can sometimes take ourselves on these grandiose journeys in terms of what we believe might happen with love. But and that it's really about this ride that she takes herself on. And it's also, for me, thematically about how these days technology and our phones play such a huge role in our lives. And so it's also sometimes it's about are we in a relationship with another person, or are we more in a relationship with our phone and texting and the technology that can either be sometimes it can make it easier, but sometimes it can also be a barrier to actual love and intimacy. So it's about those kind of things.
Incredible, incredible. Yeah, I really enjoyed just the storytelling of it. I felt like it was
Thanks.
more than just, you know, I feel like there was like a deeper meaning, and really just, just the way that it was interpreted into the storytelling and the way that you approach that storytelling. I felt like it was very unique, and it
Thank
really
you.
sticks with. You're welcome. And I to follow it up with a curious, how did you go about approaching that story through that form of storytelling that you did? I don't want to give too much away for the viewers, but as much as you
Yeah.
can share.
Yeah, I hear you. I know, because there's a way you can describe it without explaining all the devices. And then, well, I decided to. I will add, and Danny, jump in here at any point that you want. But
For sure.
because I'll add that, well, I'll say this. One of the reasons that it ended up even coming into being is because Danny really encouraged me, because it felt, when I first wrote it and I was sort of pouring my heart onto the page. A good friend of mine named Jacob Jonas, who is an incredible choreographer.
Yep.
I had met him. He and I, sometimes you meet people. Danny and I had this experience as well. Sometimes you meet people and you go, even if you've known them less than a year, your friendship feels deeper and longer. Your connection feels much more infinite than that. And so that happened when I met Danny, and it happened when I met my friend Jacob, who's a choreographer. So Jacob is the kind of dancer and choreographer where his work is really visceral. And I was really inspired by some of the shows that I had attended with Jacob Jonas, the company, his dance troupe. And so I started writing with an element of using dance to kind of express some of the visceral emotion in the film. That's how I was writing the script, right? And so I remember when Danny read it and was like, you could shoot this in one location. We could make it like, because I think in my head, it felt like kind of insurmountably complicated. But part of what Danny was encouraging me about was that we could, because it had the different elements to it. It's got an element of dance. It's got the technology, the phone and texting, that we could do it in one location and that it would still be cinematic, right? Because that's always the question too, is how do you keep something cinematic without having to spend cinematic amounts of money, right, on a short film? And so we did that. And to your question earlier, it has this element, using the element of dance, and dancers to express some of her emotion. I think it helps to draw you in, and I think it hopefully adds some cinematic layers. So that's kind of how we got there. But Danny, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, like it was pretty immediate, um, meeting Dana, and then when you meet people sometimes and you're in filmmaking, stuff just happens kind of by itself. You know what I mean? I meet a lot of people, and
Mhm.
I'm not out there making films with all of them. So I
Mhm.
give more credit to that dynamic. But of course, I was very lucky to read anything from her. Uh, and so soon after meeting her. So when I read it, it just obviously was so well written. The arc was there, the metaphors were there, the subtext was there. And then the creativity was just like endless possibilities for it. I was just so surprised and nervous, but I was surprised at how the dancers were expressing so much in the story. And I was nervous, like, how are we going to capture that through the camera and the lens and the locations and the music and the emotional arc, and eliciting those emotions from the viewer. And she really had the vision, which is always surprising no matter who you are, but I guess less surprising since it was Dana. But um the vision is like the hardest thing, right? It's like her
Yeah.
brain is crazy. She sees like a whole story there, and we executed it, and all I could do was like my favorite thing to do, which is be a supporter of someone like Dana, big dreamer, big visionary, and amazing writer. And then you just feel lucky to be on set there, hovering around, feeling important, being a producer and calling myself that, like, oh, hello. And
Hello,
not
I'm the producer. Hello.
exactly.
Right.
In reality, I'm just like feeling lucky to even be there and hanging out with the PAs or whoever. But anyways, yeah, that's like my take on Blue. Just the first read of it, I was very lucky to read it, but also the story was just so there. And then fast forward all the way to what everyone's gonna see, the dancing and how it's like such an awesome visual for what her is going through. The main character goes like by her essentially. But
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah,
so fun.
yeah. Thank you. And I will just add, with as you said, Paige, without giving away too many spoilers, I think I had always written it in a way, and again, this was because this was an extension, honestly, of how I was feeling when I wrote it. I had always known that I wanted us to be really immersed in her world. Like, that was just something that it wasn't even like something where I thought, look, this will be a cool device. That's just how it came out of me. I mean, that's just how the script
Oh,
came to
sweet.
me. Yeah. And so, but it does also provide right with complications, or it's kind of one of those things where you can put yourself in a box, which can add to creativity, but you've put yourself, right, you create
Right.
limitations, and those have their pros and cons. But I'll just say, yeah, that I hope and believe that I think adding the element of dance, when I knew that I wanted us to be so immersed in her world, it's like, how do we take the audience on a journey with this woman, right, where we can really feel what she's going through, which I believe we succeeded at doing that. But that was the goal.
You answered a question that I had, Dana, which I just didn't want to ask right now, but I was like, how intentional was it, to have that as a mechanism or whatever you called it? And
A
it just
device,
never,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. It never felt that way. So I just thought, I don't
Mm.
know. I think it just comes out of Dana. And then all of a sudden, all this, stuff is like, all this genius stuff is happening, which, you can't really force genius. So um, I, that's an amazing answer for me as a fan. So thank you.
Well, thank you for everything you just said, which I'm honored by. I keep wanting to like deflect it with some joke about how I haven't even Venmoed him lately, but I won't. Thank you for everything you said. I will just receive it. But I'm glad to hear that it did. So I'm glad that it felt
Yeah, because
organic,
how
because
some
yeah,
mechanisms they can feel forced, like, oh, here's the piano in the movie called The
right.
Piano. No, that's a great
Right.
movie, but yeah, big fan.
It is. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, it was just how the way that I wanted to express the story, because again, right, how there's all the talk of how that we're kind of in a loneliness epidemic, depending on who you ask and depending on the moment, right? And I
Right.
think that isolation, that she kind of went from this arc of like e- elation to isolation, right? This, that kind of thing. And I
Right.
just wanted us to really feel like we were in that with her. So
And just the phone, like, it's so isolating, and the whole relationship is happening there. Paige, you better jump in, otherwise me and Dana are just gonna keep going like a
I'm
rabbit.
really
I know,
enjoying this. Please, I do not want to intervene. This is so great. I'm
I
learning more
know.
about it as I'm
Well, I
listening. So please.
really, well, I have a question for you, because you were saying, and thank you for what you said earlier about the feeling like that it sticks with you, which I'm so glad to hear. That's the thing for me. That's one of the biggest compliments, and one of my biggest fears, I think, as a filmmaker, is not, somebody hating your work. That's still a visceral reaction, but the idea of somebody just kind of being like, like, that's always my thing. Is like, I'm always so happy when something like sticks with, it lands and sticks with an audience. And so you were talking about like feeling like there was a deeper meaning. I'm curious what you meant by that, if you don't mind sharing. Like, what did you get?
Yeah, I just feel like I am always intrigued by watching like films, and just the way that I'm very intrigued by storytelling in film. I've always I feel like there's always themes, there's always questions that can be answered. So I'm always not so much searching for it, but I didn't really have to find myself searching for it watching this film. I feel like it was easily, conveyed. And then I just really liked the incorporation of the dancing. Sorry. I really enjoy the just the incorporation of another form of art storytelling, like the
Mm.
choreography and the spoiler of just the dancers. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, sometimes that's what I love about art is art is not always through words. It's not always vocal. And so I feel like that interpretation of it side by side with the text messages, it really just helps you see, just kind of like Danny was saying, like that isolation through the text messages. You see it through the dancer and everything. And so it was just a very immersive experience for me, because as I'm resonating with the mesmerized by the dancing and the storytelling through that. So I feel like all around, it was just a very enjoyable experience, because I'm just always captivated by the way that, you know, directors, writers approach the storytelling, producers approach the storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one where as soon as it ends, you just want to rewatch it again. So yeah, I hope
I'm glad to hear
I
that.
hope that answered that well.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. No, it does. And I'm really glad to hear that. So yeah,
yeah.
any other questions for us? I hope we gave you a sense of like kind of what we were going for, and I'm glad to hear that it sounds like it landed.
Yeah. I guess I'll end off with like was there any fun part? Like, did you have a favorite part of this? Anything that really stands out to you
Oh,
during this process for each of you?
oh man, a favorite part. I'm thinking. I mean, gosh, it truly was such a wonderful experience that I'm trying to think if I have one. Is there one favorite part that stands out? I mean, I never get tired, I feel like, how do you know you're a filmmaker when I'm just always the magic of seeing moments that I conceived, that came into my head, that were words on a page at one point. Then, and I want to say, like, Danny helped me to find and connect me with an amazing cinematographer, Sophie. And, so as we would, so it's words on a page first, then you're having meetings about it, and you've sent the script to people, and you've hired a cinematographer and a first AD, and with Danny, we put this amazing, small but mighty, crew together. And I think and even we rehearsed, because, as you can imagine, we're in a small space, and we want to make sure we're clear on how everybody's going to be moving before we're shooting. So we had, a day or two of rehearsals before the shoot day, because we wanted to be able to move quickly. And so I think just the day when we're actually doing it, just I don't know if I have one favorite moment from that day, but just when I think of moments where it might occur to me to like have something, there'd be the way that we blocked a shot, but just those things that come to you in the moment of like, oh, we should try this. Just those little things, like everything about the actual shooting of it is a favorite thing, of just the magic of it going from words on a page to now I'm standing here with the cast and a crew around us, and we're actually shooting this. Everything about that is a favorite part for me, because it's so great to bring stories to life with other talented artists. So as cheesy as it may sound, the entire process of really shooting it and putting it on its feet is really a joy for me.
I have essentially the same answer, which is like the thing that stands in for all of that for me is the last shot, the martini. And then like everybody's just kind of buzzing from the experience, and everyone's happy. And then, you have everything on the hard drive. And that's like an awesome thought, to read it from a script, and then for it to be on a hard drive. And then, of course, whatever follows from that, post and seeing it come to life. But it's really fun to be on in person there with everybody, which is why I got into all this, just that circus community. Like, it's just a circus that I joined, Mom.
It's a big, expensive, crazy, joyful. It's a great way to describe it. Beautiful circus, yeah. And but you end up with such a beautiful thing at the end of it, right? With something, if you're lucky, you end up with something like Blue at the end of it, at the end of the circus.
Absolutely. What a wonderful circus it is, truly, because very grateful for for films like Blue. And we're very excited to screen it at the festival. Again, congratulations on your acceptance. My last question for you both is, will you be joining us in person for the festival?
Oh boy, that question. I'm honestly still figure. I mean, 100%, like true honesty, still figuring it out right now. There's something else that I may be going into production on, and it depends on where I am in the pre-production process. I'm hoping to, and I want to, so I'm trying to carve out the space because I've heard such wonderful things about the festival, and I'm really excited, and I would really love to join. So I'm going to do my level best to be there with you all in person.
Same thing. I'm right in the middle of a feature, so we'll see how that circus goes.
But we really want to be
wonderful.
there.
Yeah.
And again, truly like honored to be selected.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, listen, we definitely understand that's kind of the life of a filmmaker. Is, you know, there's always something in the works. So we understand the schedules and everything. But nonetheless, we will absolutely be supporting your film over here on the East Coast. Again, for everyone watching, you can check out Blue on Sunday, March 29th at the Berkeley Continental, Block BC 30, between 12:15 and 1:45 p.m. And then also, again, for everyone, yay, happy day. For everyone watching, Garden State Film Festival, March 26th through March 29th. You can get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. And once again, Dana and Danny, thank you both so much for being here. Truly, it's been a pleasure. You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. All right.
You too.
You too.